So I finally caved in and actually tried this game. I have been avoiding this game for a long time, and I will talk about why I've been avoiding it for so long. But anyways, I actually gave Yakuza 7 a chance, and I'm glad to say that I actually mostly enjoyed the game. In this game, we get to play as Kasuga Ichiban, who is a new protagonist carrying on the mantle for Kiryu. And in this one, Ichiban really has to figure out why the world of the Yakuza is slowly crumbling. Let's talk about Ichiban as protagonist. So far, I like Ichiban. I think he has great potential, but I don't think that he's gonna replace Kiryu as like my favorite character of the series. But I do like his character, and I do like his potential for the series. I probably don't want them to make like another 7 games just as Ichiban as the main character, but however, I do look forward to seeing more of Ichiban. In this one, we also get the new map in Yokohama. Even though I played Lost Judgment first, and most of the game we're in Yokohama, this is actually the first game when we get to be in Yokohama. And there's tons of stuff for you to explore. I like a lot of the new additions of side stuff that you can do, like Dragon Kart. It's like Mario Kart. I thought that was pretty fun. You can also gamble like the usual stuff like in Yakuza. There's also a part-time system where you can help out people across the city to get money, items, and also gear. And also there's like a little can mini game where you can go collect cans because Ichiban is homeless at one point during the game. So you can collect cans and really get some useful stuff for the RPG elements of this game. And the game looks great. This is really, I like how they're really improving on the graphics, making the performances look more real, and I really do like how they're trying to make this more realistic. I like Ichiban's character because it feels more grounded. He feels like more like a human being. He feels more, he could be you or me really. And I really do like how it's more grounded. You really relate more to Ichiban compared to Kiryu, who is actually just a monster. He's just like, because Kiryu is basically an unstoppable machine, and Ichiban's more like the average human being. So I really do appreciate that about Ichiban. I'm going to talk about story first, because usually that's the main attraction for these games, is about really the story. But overall, I thought the story was actually pretty good. I liked the beginning and the end. It had a really strong start and finish. However, I think where it falls flat for me is the middle portion, especially the first half of the middle. Really, because these games usually have this problem where they take too long to really set something up, or they take too long to get going. And that's probably the main criticism I have for Yakuza games, where they just take too long to get things going. And really, at points of this game, I felt bored. I really felt bored of the story at times, and I really just wanted things to keep going and move a little more on a faster pace. But I could see why they took their time with this one, because there's a lot more characters to introduce. Basically, the whole game is mainly new characters that we've never seen before. So I see why they took so much time to introduce these new characters, because we'll probably see these characters more as these games go on. So overall, I'd say I liked and hated really the pacing of the game. Overall, I did enjoy the new characters. I like the camaraderie between Ichiban and his friends, since you can create a party with them and you get to choose who's in it. And I really do like how you can really bond with these characters. Around the city, you can have these conversations with them, and if you develop their bond meter, you can talk to them at the bar and they give you extra side missions. But I did enjoy the story, especially the ending was really good. I like the high tension between all the characters. I like the boss fights. I love the boss fights in this one, because essentially this is a little spoiler alert, but you get to fight Majima, Seijima, and Kiryu, like the legendary Yakuza that we know and love. You get to fight them, and I really do appreciate them showing the characters that we love that they're just not sidelined anymore, and they're still a part of this universe. And also the side missions in this game are probably the weirdest ones I've ever played. Like just this whole game is like the weirdest one I've ever played. This is the wackiest Yakuza probably to date, especially with Ichiban's creative imagination. And I do love the side missions. There's some really funny ones here, with like a giant vacuum and stuff like that. And even others like special mini games where Ichiban has to stay awake during a movie. Just things like that. I like how they really cranked up the weirdness of Yakuza, because usually we don't really, majority of the time it's not weird, the Yakuza games, or at least that's kind of like a bare bones way of saying it, even though there's a lot of weird stuff that happens throughout all the games. But this one really cranks it up probably to like the max. This is the weirdest it's ever gonna get, especially during a lot of the side missions and a lot of the time when you're fighting, because Ichiban has a creative imagination, and in these games you don't fight regular people, you fight pigments of his imagination, And really, I like how they took this idea and ran with it, where there's a bunch of different types of enemies that Ichiban has came up with. There's so many enemies that they even created like a Sujimon Dex. It's like Pokemon kinda, where it shows you like 250 different types of enemies that Ichiban really has come up with in his mind, whoever he's fighting. Yeah, but I did enjoy a lot of the side stuff that you can do. You can go to Sombori to do an arena. You can just do a lot of side stuff, and you really can take your time with this one. It's just exploring the city and seeing what it has to offer. Now I'm just gonna stop beating around the bush and talk about the gameplay. This game is turn-based, and that's probably one of the things that really drove away a lot of people from this game. It drove me away from this game, because really I don't like turn-based games. I really don't find them as amusing as other people do, because really most of the time we were really in control of Kiryu and whatnot. We get to really experiment with the combat, we get to try different things with different heat moves, but since the control is taken away from us, I could see why a lot of people really didn't give it a chance. I initially didn't even give it a chance when it first came out, when I heard that it was going to be turn-based. Despite that, I did enjoy the turn-based combat, but really I think that they should probably improve on that. Because if they want more people to try out this game, I really do think that they really need to reinvent the turn-based. Because this one feels more traditional, but it does have like some mini game aspects where you have timed, quick time events for you to boost damage. But really, that wasn't enough for me to say that I really do like turn-based games. Essentially, after playing this game, this probably enhanced my hatred for them, unfortunately. I did have fun with it here and there, but that's probably somewhat of my fault as well, because I decided to play this game on hard my first playthrough, and really I think that was a mistake. If you don't like turn-based games, don't play on the hardest difficulty. You're gonna have probably a bad time with it, especially with the grind. And that's essentially the main aspect of the game that I really hate. It's just the grind. But it's normal for turn-based games to have like a grind, but for me this one felt more painful than normal. Because for me, I don't mind when games have grind. Every game has grind in their own way, but really sometimes you reach a threshold where you just don't want to do the same thing over and over again to get stronger. And that's probably a mistake I made initially trying out this game. Because in Final Fantasy VII, I'm gonna compare it to Final Fantasy VII, but in that game the grind wasn't that bad. Really, you can go at your own leisure, and you get stronger the more you go. But in this one, you really have to go out of your way to really grind XP, grind elements, grind everything for you to really be successful in this game. At first I really didn't mind it, but then you really do feel the fatigue when you're going to the Sonboy arena. You're there most of the time. You're there for maybe 3 hours, or you go to the different dungeons and you're under there for a couple of hours trying to get XP and materials. You really do feel the fatigue, and essentially I think they need to reinvent turn-based games. Turn-based has its place in the gaming world, but here I don't think it works as well as I want it to. They need to reinvent it. Maybe something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it has turn-based elements but we're in control of the fight the whole time. Really, like, so we can really experiment with the combat, because you're kind of limited to what heat moves and what skills you really upgrade on your own. Because in the job system, each character has their own separate jobs that they can do, and with that comes different movesets, and sometimes they get to keep certain movesets from different classes, and you can mix and match around them and really grind different classes to get different skills that help you along the way. But another aspect that I really did hate was just the back and forth. You really do move back and forth a lot throughout this game. You're moving from one place to another, trying to get different materials, get XP, get weapons. You're going around so often that I really did feel tired of going back and forth. I had flashbacks to when I played Red Dead Redemption 2, where you're constantly moving back and forth, and then you reach a point where you don't want to go long distances anymore. What really helps is the taxi system, where you can call your phone and call a taxi, because if we really didn't have this system, I probably would have just gave up on the game entirely. So I really didn't like most of the grinding experience. So if you're gonna play this game, play it on easy, because really you're gonna have a bad time. And I probably underestimated this game also, because if you watch my stream, when I fought Tendo, I was almost 20 levels over him, and I was just stacked compared to him. So maybe it's kind of my fault that I went so hard in it, but in JRPGs you really have to be prepared. So I went out of my way to be prepared for these fights, and basically the game became easy when I went out of my way to do this. But I really do think that they should make it easier to get XP, easier to get materials, easier to just find everything you need to be successful. But overall, I did enjoy the game. I really do like the potential here. They just need to reinvent turn-based games, in my opinion. They really need to change this because a lot of people don't like them, and if they want more people to play Yakuza 8 when it eventually comes out, I feel like they just need to change something about it. Maybe go back to the old formula. But that kind of goes against Ichiban's character because he loves Dragon Quest and he imagines himself fighting in that way. So you can't just completely take it out. So they just need to reinvent it and make it more inviting for those who aren't used to JRPGs or just don't like turn-based games at all, really. So really what I'm saying is they need to just reinvent this whole system if they want more people to play it. I know I've been rambling a lot in terms of why I don't think the combat is necessarily great, but overall I say the experience was good. I just want more out of it, really. I really want things to be better for the franchise. I really want more people to play it, so that's why I'm suggesting these ideas for people to really be more accepting of the change, because I know a lot of people don't like this change, and really that's a shame that a lot of people aren't considering trying it because of the fact that it is turn-based. But it is time for me to give the final verdict for Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Overall, I did enjoy the experience, even though at points I really felt like I was just not enjoying myself, but the majority of the time I did enjoy myself, and I really do think that many of you who probably really didn't give it a chance should give it a chance. So I'm going to give Yakuza 7 a 7 out of 10. It's funny that I'm giving it a 7, but I think it's just a good game overall. Really, I think they need to just push the limits of turn-based and really develop it, because for me, turn-based is kind of boring. So really, they need to improve the system in order to be more fun for people who aren't used to this type of combat. But anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you want to play this game, you can do it on Xbox Game Pass. It's on there, or it's available on PlayStation as well. So if you wanted to try out the game, go ahead and try it. I'd say give it a shot. You'd be surprised. But anyways, thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure to go check out my Twitch. I've been streaming here and there. I'm gonna leave links to some of my buddy stuff also in the description. But thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.